Welcome to Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association. You can find us at LCARA.net, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. If you're enjoying the videos we're producing here at LCARA, please help our club out by hitting that subscribe button. Also, give us some feedback on our videos. Click the like button, share with anybody who may find it interesting, and be sure and hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified of the next video release. Hello, folks. This is Chris, KY4CKP, and today we want to bring to you a video covering some of the resources that are available in the ham hobby that we may not sometimes be aware of. And I also just sort of want to cover in general the concept of finding resources. Some folks are maybe really good at that. Other folks may not do much of that or spend as much time exploring the internet in all of its forms, all of our social media capabilities that are out there. The good news is, although ham radio is a fairly small hobby, it's growing, and the resources available to us are really growing. And I've been thinking about this video for really kind of a long time, and how helpful this kind of video would have been for myself, and I'm sure almost any newer ham. So I just wanted to do this, and I'm not going to try to cover everything. That would be a several hour video, I'm sure. But I wanted to cover some of the resources that I've found and that I've been using, and at least give some ideas about finding additional resources. There's probably some things we're going to cover here that most of us are aware of, but maybe there's going to be some things that we weren't aware of or may not have thought about as much. So we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about YouTube, of course, as a resource. How many folks don't use YouTube for all kinds of entertainment purposes, but also for any kind of a hobby that you may have or an interest, whatever it is, reading books or ham radio or fishing or astronomy or whatever it is. The internet as a whole, social media and things like YouTube, there are more and more resources than ever. So one of the first places I want to start, you may notice I have a lot of tabs open. We're going to try to go through these fairly quickly. Of course, here at LCARA, we have our website, and there's going to be websites for other clubs, for other folks in the amateur radio field or hobby. One of the things we have are links to stores. 3 pages of links to stores where you can find pieces and parts, whether it's specifically ham radio oriented or not. Some of it is, but some of it sometimes you just need pieces and parts and connectors and cables and things. So we have 3 pages of that. And again, there's plenty of resources on the internet for that. And other websites, probably even similar to ours, and of course, plenty of information about our club and our activities on our Facebook page, and we also link there at the very top to our social media accounts and things. And so, don't forget to use your search engine of choice. And I tend to do this quite a bit and have for a long time, but every now and then, when you have a few minutes, just explore the internet a little bit. Type in various search words, search terms of things you're interested in, and see what pops up. Explore a few pages. You never know what you might come across. Of course, here is our Facebook page. I have our presence on Facebook. Lots of great information posted here as well. So search around Facebook. Facebook has really become a dissemination point, a distribution point for information. And a lot of people, a lot of clubs and different things are going to have usually some kind of a presence on Facebook, even using it as a storefront for smaller companies that sell things, because it helps keep their overhead down, and it's kind of an easy way to have sort of a web page presence. So there's a lot more things on Facebook than sort of its intended purpose originally, which was just kind of having individuals and families have a way to get online and find each other and talk and communicate, which there's still plenty of that happens with Facebook as well, as we all know. So, of course, again, here at LCARA, we use Facebook and update it regularly with our activities and post pictures and things of what we're doing and projects we're working on and those kinds of things. And then, of course, other tools. I'm not going into to all the social media that's out there, but of course, things like Instagram, right? And we do have a presence on Instagram, and we do post information about projects that are happening and upcoming events and upcoming videos and those kinds of things. So again, just one of the very many outlets of information that's out there. So search the internet, search any one of these social media outlets, and just again, whenever you've got a little bit of time. I find it sort of relaxing and entertaining just to go get lost in the weeds a little bit and see what you can find. Because again, sometimes some really interesting stuff pops up that you may not always think to find if you were trying to do a dedicated search. You might not even know what to type in, but just type in some words and phrases, and you never know, what could pop up for you. But let's come back around to YouTube. It's where we're going to spend the majority of time in the video. And of course, we can search for things on YouTube. If we go up here to the search, if you search for ham radio, you're going to find all kinds of videos and resources here. We're going to touch on quite a few of these folks in my sort of list I've got opened up here. But we're not going to touch on everything. There's more and more folks, with YouTube channels, and some of them come and some of them go. There's a lot of folks there. So again, you can and don't just use one keyword or one search term. Look up all kinds of things. Look up. Let's see, ham radio antennas. It doesn't always have to have ham radio in the search term, of course, but you know, you'll get a different listing of what people have done. Or if you just look up radio antennas, different things are going to come up. You'll start seeing some of the same, sites and channels and things come up, of course, but you'll find different folks and different people. Maybe look up ICOM radios, almost any kind of search term you might think of, and just scroll down. And don't be afraid to scroll more than just a couple of, scrolls or pages deep. Sometimes people may be down in the weeds a little bit, and you can still find some really good content. So again, we just want to cover that a little bit for this, and so I want to cover some channels specifically, not really in any particular order, and these are by no means the only ham radio channels available. There's dozens of channels these days, including smaller ones like LCARA. We have over 1,000, over 1,200 subscribers now, and we greatly appreciate that. And we hope we're providing a service to the ham radio community and to our actual club members at LCARA as well. But I just wanted to touch on a few of these, maybe just more than a few, but um, just to make sure folks are aware of some of these, and that again there are others out there. Again, use the search, put in different kinds of keywords, see what comes up. So we'll start with this one here, and this is Ham Radio 2.0, and he's got some really good content, reviews, radios, and gear. But one of the things, and this was one of the driving factors relatively recently that again had me thinking about doing this video, which I've thought about for just after I got into ham radio. So 2 years ago, or just over 2 years ago now, whatever it's been, as a at least an introductory compilation of resources that are out there. But some of these folks had a somewhat similar idea, and so some of the YouTube channels got together and said, "Hey, let's promote the hobby as a group." And it's not just about bigger channels or smaller channels or whatever. Let's promote the hobby as a group and promote kind of this concept of, hey, there's a lot of resources out there, and different people bring different resources to the table. And so they created the YouTubers bunch, kind of playing off on the Brady Bunch, if you're old enough to remember that TV show. And there's people that kind of come and go occasionally, depending on who's available to do something. All these folks have their own channels, but they get together occasionally to cover a topic, and you can see that they've all logged in, kind of like a Zoom session or those kinds of tools to talk about things. And I thought this was a great idea to sort of cross promote their channels, but also I think the concept of there's a lot of resources out there. Don't be afraid to get off the path and and wander around a little bit, and again use that search and see what you can find. So Ham Radio 2.0 helped get this going. We're going to talk about a lot of these folks. I'm subscribed to all or most of these folks. I'm not going to talk about every one in this video, but he's got, I think, typically a listing when you come to Ham Radio 2.0. If you look at any of the YouTubers Bunch videos, he's got links to all these folks so that you can find them. Again, great resource. And the concept, I was really impressed with the concept of this. Very helpful for anybody to maybe find extra resources. Well, after this had happened for a little while, one of the folks that I had been following directly for a while as well did a similar thing. So this is Callum McCormick, DX Commander. He creates antenna systems and sells them. And in fact, I bought one of his systems a year and a half ago or more. It's a great vertical fan dipole, basically. You can run multiple elements, and it's pretty quick and easy to build if you like to be a little hands-on. And so he liked the concept of the YouTubers Bunch, and he was participating in that, and he wanted to do a similar thing for Europe. He wanted to get some of the content creators, some of the channels from Europe, and do a similar thing. Get together, talk about topics, bring different perspectives in, and highlight some different channels. And not just because they're a big channel. Some of them were definitely a little bit smaller and newer, but just to highlight some of what's happening out there. And again, these resources that are available to us. So he started the YouTube crew, over basically in Europe and the UK, again to highlight some of the different people and channels and voices, that are out there, different perspectives, covering antennas or hardware, or getting out in the field, or just different kinds of topics. And of course, Callum has his basic channel as well, which I've followed for quite a while, and he's a very entertaining person, very personable, and makes great antennas too. So if you happen to be interested, check out the DX Commander antennas, and you may decide that it might have a place for you. So I liked these concepts of helping to cross promote other people, other channels in our hobby, make sure people are aware of the resources that are out there. So we'll keep on moving here. Here's another one that I found pretty early on, Ham Radio Crash Course. This is Josh, and he's been doing videos on YouTube for quite a while now, and became more focused on ham radio. He does other things in his life, like we all do, and he does a weekly live stream, and he covers a lot of different topics on different radios, programming radios, comparing radios, and antennas, like a lot of us do or look for in our videos. But he does his live streams, one of the things he's known for. And the other thing about Josh was that he's, with his live streams and other things, you can see up here with his banner, he's done a series trying to encourage and help people to go take their test, whether it's here in the U.S. at least, your introductory technician test, maybe you're upgrading to the general license level, or eventually the top of the line, the amateur extra license level. He's done a series of videos going over the material and trying to help people not only learn the material for the test, but help encourage people, and especially with his community of subscribers and folks, don't be afraid and go out there and take the test. I mean, at the current time, at least, it's $15. If you fail a test, study some more, take it again. Right? It's not the end of the world. And he's really been encouraging people to become new hams or to upgrade their license if they're ready for that. And really appreciated that early on in my adventure of becoming a ham operator as well. So definitely check out Josh's videos and maybe his live streams. He's got a lot of good stuff out there. Really been helping the community and dedicating lots of time and effort into this for a pretty good while now. And just moving along, another good channel that I found pretty early on, Ham Radio Concepts. He's really done a lot of great stuff covering hardware, covering setups, testing equipment and antennas and things, covering digital modes, and which a lot of these folks do. Um, Eric down in Florida has done a lot of cool stuff. I actually got to meet Eric at the uh, one of the last, maybe the second to last Hamventions up in Xenia, Ohio, and he was gracious enough to take a quick picture with me, even though he was kind of busy and so forth. But he's a great guy. He covers a lot of good material, and he had been doing this for a little while. Trying to work with his ham radio club, work with younger folks getting into the hobby. So he's taking a little bit of a break from kind of the pure ham radio stuff. He's got another channel, the Ponderosa, and but he's still releasing some videos on ham related gear and antennas and things. But he's got a lot of good stuff. You know, a lot of these folks, if they have been around a little bit longer, you know, they're going to have that sort of library of videos you can go back and watch. Just because a video is a little bit older doesn't mean it doesn't have good relevant content. So you know, that becomes true for anything. So even though a video may be a year, 2, 3, 4 years old, it may be just as relevant today as it was then because not everything changes. So if you're looking at a particular radio, look at the review for the radio, and if it's a more classic radio, that's fine. You still want to learn about the features of the radio and how it compares to other things. So Eric's got a great channel, lots of good stuff there. Another channel I found, again, pretty early on, was David Kassler and his Augies, his call sign K6UDA, his Augies. Um, and David, again, is another one of those folks that for a long time has been helping to promote the ham radio hobby and, again, trying to help people get licensed. He has also done a series of videos covering helping you go over the material to study and go for the licenses, again, here in the U.S. In fact, he had his material out on DVDs, if anybody can remember those. He had them out on DVDs, and he's been converting and updating things so he can more recently distribute them, you know, more digitally as people are more used to today on thumb drives or on his channel. So he's been converting a lot of material and then updating it. Of course, the questions on the exam change every so many years. Again, so he's put a lot of time and effort over many years of helping present the material and help people, encourage people to get their license and get tested. And again, he covers hardware and antennas and build kits and different things. Again, great channel. I've really enjoyed watching, you know, David's videos here in the last couple of years. Moving along, this was another channel I found, again, relatively early on, HAMRadio.world. And HAMRadio.world is a very interesting channel. This is a family. Mute that video there. This is a family, and pretty much everybody in the family is licensed. They have got several children, and pretty much everybody got licensed. I think mom and dad, and the 3 or 4 girls, the kids, and I think their brother. They do a lot of interesting projects. All the girls and the kids, they're all very hands-on, and they're in there building go kits and all kinds of interesting projects and covering again ham radio concepts and of course when we were doing more of this kind of stuff, you know, going to some of the hamventions and things. So again, we certainly want to encourage this, right? We want to encourage young folks getting into the hobby. This is an entire family that has got into and enjoyed the hobby and gotten licensed. So even younger folks can get in and enjoy this hobby, right? And you're never too old. You're never too old to come into the hobby. You're never really too young to start getting in and enjoying the hobby. So check out hamradio.world. That's a great channel. Again, one of the ones I found early on, Michael, KB9VBR. The initial way I found Michael was through his antennas. He makes and sells antennas too, and he's kind of was famous for copper J poles and things. And I bought one of his copper J poles. It was a dual band, 2 meters and 70 centimeters, and it's worked great. I've had it for about 2 years or a little more, and it's still up right now, and it works great. I've never had any problems with it. Very high quality work, very reasonable price, And but then he also does his videos covering parks on the air activations. He likes to camp with his wife, and all kinds of topics. So not only does he make antennas, but he also has this channel and covers a lot of good content. So check out Michael. Another interesting person I found, Radio Prepper, and in Europe, and he's part of the YouTube crew that Callum helped put together in Europe. And one of the things with Radio Prepper is he has a real love or fondness for classic military type radios. And so he's probably got a pretty good collection. I know he's covered a number of different military type radios and gets them running and uses them to communicate on some bands that are not as common, at least these days, we would think about, but are still potentially available to amateur radio operators. So again, he covers different kinds of radios and equipment and homebrew antennas and all kinds of things. But yeah, he's got some really interesting stuff. So again, if you're into classic radios and some things, he's got definitely an interest in that on the military radio side of things, and he's covered quite a few of those. K6UDA Bob, the self-described most hated man in ham radio. Um, Again, he's got an interesting personality, and he covers a lot of good content, radios and gear, and whether he's in his RV, whether he's in his Jeep, going out doing installs and using the equipment and reviewing the equipment. So again, just another perspective that's out there, and pretty prolific. He puts out videos fairly often, so feel free to check out K6UDA and YL Racer, Young Lady Racer, a newer ham. Not. I'm pretty new myself, and so is my brother Brian, KY4BDP, and she's a little bit newer than we are. 6 months or something, not much, less than 2 years or 2 years. Again, younger person. She's from Russia, and a younger person who got interested in the hobby and has been just diving in with both feet, as they say, and covering different topics and so forth. Again, a different perspective from a younger person maybe. So it's good to subscribe. Yeah, she's a newer, smaller channel, but she's got some nice content. Feel free to check out YL Racer. Again, one of my favorites, and not the biggest of channels, although Mike up in Michigan here has grown a lot in the past year. K8MRD radio stuff. Again, gear reviews, and one of the probably the sort of claims to fame that Mike would have is he really got interested in POTA, Parks on the Air, which is a ham radio activity you can do. It's sort of a kind of a contest you can get into, a game you can get into. You go to a designated park, and there's lots of parks around the U.S. and in fact, there's stuff around the world you can do similar to this, and you do what's called activating the park, which basically just means go out and excuse me, have some fun and make at least 10 contacts from the park. Make at least 10 contacts. Yeah, it's not usually that hard. Some days are challenging, of course. Some parks, because of their location, are challenging. But he loves to get out there with his equipment. He loves to do that, especially, of course, when the weather's nice. Although if you check out his videos, you'll see he was out on a frozen lake, on the frozen lake itself, in a lawn chair, and was out there having fun with his radio. Again, he loves Parks on the Air, and he's inspired, I think, a number of folks, including myself, to look at that program and get into that program. It can be a lot of fun. Really give you some experience working a pileup. You don't always get a pileup, but sometimes you'll get a decent pileup, and it gives you some experience with that. And again, high energy and can just be a lot of fun. So he covers gear and other things as well, but Parks on the Air is one of his favorite activities, and he tends to do it anytime the weather is anything like half decent. So you can check out Mike. He's up in Michigan. I've caught Mike one time at least, maybe twice up there. Another channel, a little bit newer, a little bit smaller, is Mike, M0MSN in the UK. And he was somebody I connected with a little bit through Callum, DX Commander, and he started his channel. Uh, for me, one of the reasons I like Mike, I like he's nice, a nice person, nice personality, and everything. Um, he has a Yaesu FT991A, and I do as well. And he's done some things with that. He has some other radios, of course, and he's been getting into working with antennas. And one of the things he's been doing fairly recently is working with the DX Commander type vertical antenna, but adding a coil to it. You can see some of his videos here. Adding a coil so that you can more easily get, say, 80 meters or even 160 meters without having to have a big, long run of cable for those, which typically you would. And also working with another ham, Rolly. You can see down here the ZL1BQD Rolly out of, I always forget, Australia, New Zealand. New Zealand, I think. I apologize, Rolly, if you ever happen to watch this, but who's been a ham forever, has a real cool channel with some of his adventures. Did a lot of DX expeditions, and is kind of going over and documenting some of that, and as again some great long-term input on this. But he had kind of come up with this concept, so they tend to call this the Rolly coil. But again, it's a way to add additional capability to your antenna without having to add a lot of length to the antenna. Obviously, you're adding length, but you're doing it in a coil, so it doesn't take up a lot of ground space. We don't always have a giant field to put something up into. So I've been watching that with a lot of interest, and Mike's been having some pretty good success with that. This is another one of my favorite channels, OH8STN, Survival Tech Nord, Julian. And Julian lives in a very beautiful part of the world, and up in Finland, and loves to get out into nature with minimal equipment. His probably main focus is more QRP or just very portable communications, even if it is a 100-watt radio like an Yaesu FT891, but he's got some true QRP equipment, but limited equipment, solar power. He's always working with and checking out solar panels of different kinds of equipment, lower power, small equipment, and also building. You can kind of see up here at the top, maybe building portable power packs with different lithium technology type batteries and things to power that equipment, and actually getting out in the field and using it. He does some digital modes and things. So he's always working with and testing his equipment, his antenna system. He likes to know how to use it, make sure it's in good working order. He just enjoys being in the outdoors as well. So you kind of get to kill two birds with one stone. So he covers some really great topics, especially in those areas of portability and getting out there and using your equipment, being ready and prepared. So he's got a lot of great topics that he covers. Another one I found pretty early on is Jim W6LG, and again he's been a ham a long time. He's put out a lot of videos and covers a lot of great topics. So a lot of good learning material in his sort of and not to say this with any disrespect, but kind of an Elmer in a can, an Elmer on YouTube, which a lot of folks can look at these different channels that way. But just covers a lot of great topics and helps people dive in and understand some of the aspects of ham radio, maybe a little better, a little deeper. He's got all kinds of great content out there. David Kassler, certainly I think kind of the same way. So I really got a lot out of Jim's videos, especially when I was newer. Really helped me kind of get up to speed on some things, some concepts, a little faster, a little quicker. So check out Jim's channel. Then we got Kevinlaflin. Covers a lot of great topics, and he has an RV and travels 2 or 3 different places around the country, depending on the time of year and the temperatures. But he covers a lot of great topics and builds and do-it-yourself antennas. And again, just another great resource in the community. He's very nice and gracious. Made a contact with him. Was talking to him and been following him, and he said, "Hey, well, let's see if we can do a contact sometime." And so we just set up a time, and he was willing to to spend some of his time to do that for a fan, for somebody. So check out Kevinlaflin, some really good stuff with his channel. And the Smoking Ape, again, just another one of those folks, another personality that's out there, covers a lot of great content. And one of the things I like to do, because sometimes you'll see different channels cover the same basic topic, the same piece of equipment, the same antenna, whatever it is, but they're going to cover it from different angles. They're gonna have different thoughts on it. They're gonna have different pros and cons, and I kind of like that. I like being able to get more than one perspective on something, and so that's one reason why there's all these channels that I'm highlighting here. There's a whole lot more. I've not by any means covered everything. Again, get out there and search around different topics and hardware, and you'll find different folks. But you can get different perspectives on things. What did they like? What did they not like? And then of course, not every channel does cover the exact same topics. Okay, the exact same hardware. So having at least a few of these, bookmarked or as set as your subscriptions and favorites, you know, get notified when they, when you subscribe and ring the bell, then gives you something to watch, of course. But again, it helps you give you a breadth of different perspectives on things. And then, of course, they don't all just cover the same thing. And some people will cover one thing and some people will cover something else. So I'm sure this video is long enough by now. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I've been wanting to highlight some of the resources that are out there for our hobby. And this applies to any hobby or interest. These concepts, get out there and search and get off the main path sometimes. But for our hobby, yeah, it's a little bit niche, but it has been growing, and the access to all these resources has really grown, especially in the past year or two. And I just wanted to highlight this kind of stuff. Search the web. There's great web pages out there. Of course, Facebook, things like Instagram. But obviously one of the big ones, visually for a lot of us, is YouTube. And there's a lot of great stuff on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, folks. This is Chris, KY4CKP. Get out there, use your resources, dig into whatever topics are of interest to you, and we'll see you next time, 73.